Thank you, Vera. I'll put it this way. I'm not dead. But holy hell. Oh my God. Look at Misty. Oh my God, don't make me cough. I love it. Oh my God, and Marion too. Are you in costume or is that just life? Yeah, I thought so. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy to be back. Man, what a pain in my ass. Kids party today. Yeah, we're having our Halloween later today, which I will be saying, have a good time. Megan's taking the kids because there's just no way. Got my cards. I'm just like touching them because I haven't touched them in like a week. Did Missed me? So how are you guys? Like, what's been happening? Like, how is the first week of this what do you call it? Eclipse situation? How's that going? We're halfway in. This is how it's going here. How's it going over there? Are you feeling fine? Any big stuff happen? Marion's all over the place. Better today. Yvonne is feeling super exhausted. Missed the card pulls. Me too. I missed the card pulls too. Beer's all over the place. Missy says huge stuff, but just going with it. It's all right. Just keep swimming. Pooped. Feeling lost and emotional. Arlene says, Eclipse, I thought this was regular cray. I mean, Christine says 2 weeks prior I was very exhausted and sick, but I feel the energy is getting lighter for me on Friday. That's excellent. I know. Okay, so you're one of the people that got an email from me, Arlene. There are like 5 of you who I guess I forgot to cancel your subscriptions. I'm so sorry, but that has been remedied and you've been refunded. So Inner Sanctum is officially gone now. I said, see you later, friend. And you will not have any more emails that say, oh, you're about to be charged for a subscription. Sarah told you was done. But it's been, yeah, tower moment. It's been very Scorpio. I will say that. It's like the most Scorpio right now. And I wonder if, like, are you all feeling that? Or, like, is it just me? Because I'm like, fuck. I look forward to this season all year, and you're being really rough with me. Oh. Janine. Hi, Janine. Janine says, feeling good. Releasing, giving a care what people think of me. Also recognizing who deserves my time and effort and feeling pretty good and getting good downloads from spirit. Excellent. I love to hear that. Oh, in fact, let me put my do not disturb on. So I am not disturbed. Okay. Oh no. Jacinda says, oh wow, I typed a whole rant and Wi-Fi is out since last week. No Zoom mind. No Zoom. Oh. Well, I've got our cards here. I've got my coffee. I'm going to smudge this space just a little bit. It's been interesting. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not interesting. It's very predictable. But I knew that I was going to have a crash soon, and it seems to happen to me around this time. In fact, if I look at my time hop, this happened to me last Halloween as well. And one of the reasons is because life is crazy, but also because I don't slow down when I get the nudge that I need to slow down. And so what's happened this week is I had my entire like crown area just like it shut down for 3 days. It was very weird because usually it's very busy. It's very busy happenings. And it was just like you need like a full like just don't. And so I didn't. And then shit started cranking up again. And it has been nonstop ever since. So I'm kind of tired from that, but I feel like I'm doing a really good job of like just kind of letting the downloads come through and not having to necessarily create something with them at this time. The world is like literally ending is the thing. And there have been a few things that popped up over the past week that I saw or heard, and I was like, wow, like shit really is hitting the fan. And one of them is going to sound really silly to you, but bear with me. There was an article that came out very recently about the whole thing about coffee and tea being a diuretic and how they're dehydrating. How many of you have heard like a million times in your life that coffee is not hydrating, it's a diuretic. Tea is not hydrating, it's a diuretic. And so it doesn't matter, like that's not water, that doesn't count as hydration, like all the things, right? My parents told me, I thought it was just like one of those very established scientific facts about life. You don't question that one. And apparently that study was based off of 3 people in 1926 and has not ever been able to be replicated to get those same results. And that in and of itself just had me like, what is real then? Like, what fact makes sense? Like, what sense is sense? Like, everything just felt very like, okay, so we're just creating anything we want. Like, you can just make up any shit you want. Poll your friends, which you probably have more than 3, so you could probably make a whole panel. And now here's a fact for everyone to like torture their people with for the rest of time. Now, at the same time, the other part of this is the very obvious, like, common sense part, which is I know that I'm fucking dehydrated. I know that. I don't really need anyone to tell me that. I know that when I drink a cup of coffee, I don't feel super hydrated afterwards. Like, those things feel like normal, but it does also make sense that liquid that you consume could possibly give you a little bit of hydration. So I don't know, but that, I was like, okay, I see what's happening here. Like the fabric of space and time. So there's that's been happening. And over the past 6 months, I have been kind of keeping a finger on the pulse of TikTok with a very specific train of thought. And that train of thought is how women don't need men. And 6 months ago, it was like a little bit. It was like I would hear a creator here or there be like, why? Why do we need this? Why? Like, and just, whatever. Now it's like flooded. My whole feed is flooded with this. And the research now coming out, talking about how men are so depressed and how they're so lonely. And my own, I don't even know what to call him anymore. Because like legally this man is my husband, but like, no thank you. So I'm just going to call him my ex, I guess, who lives here still. But he said that to me. Like he has based so much of his poor behavior on the fact that he feels lonely. And it's like, do you know why you're lonely? Because you don't know how to create, foster, or support emotional connection between other humans without sticking your dick inside of them. So I don't know how to help you, but like there's been such a huge like uptick in that rhetoric and of women realizing that like, unless you're adding something here, I don't think I really need you to then take care of on top of everything else. And the men's they're not loving it. And even before I got sick, I did quite a few readings, and there seems to be a real trend with that one as well. And so I'm kind of watching that and being like, wow, the mans are losing it. They're losing power and they're losing face. and they're not even trying to get it back. They're like making fun of us and trying to make us feel bad. They're trying to see if they can fat shame us or slut shame us or do whatever they can to kind of get power back. And it's like, it doesn't work anymore. So that's really happening. I'm very, very much feeling that. And it's exciting, terrifying, and about time. So all of that's happening. And it's been like a week of Scorpio season. So it's going to be a time. I'm going to have to like slow my roll though, because I can feel my head getting heated. So let's get to the cards and see what they have to say for you. But suffice to say, I'm like, wow. I'm wow right now. I also have a break this week because my ex is gone the entire week and he left yesterday, and I already feel better. I'm like, and my house feels better, and I'm just so much happier. So I'm really pushing the manifest of like getting the mans out of this house because it is enough already. I've had enough. All right, so what should our things be today? Well, it is Halloween, so maybe let's do something spoopy, okay? What? Janine, Sarah, this is the anniversary of getting the death cart at House of Yoga. That's right. I was at House of Yoga last year, and we did that event. Can you elaborate on the death card, though? Did you get the death card? I think you did. Okay, so anyway. Oh, I do remember that. Happy anniversary, Janine. Let's do... It's not very spoopy, but these are the 3 ones. Death, rebirth, transformation. What are you feeling this morning?
Sarah. Hi. Are you all right? I just wanted to talk to you for a second.
Hi, Arlene.
Okay, don't choke on coffee now.
You scared me.
Come on. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to scare you. I was just leaping in for a second. I just wanted to ask you if you had lemons around your house.
Like, I don't know, actually.
Okay, you were just talking about changing the energetic of the area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you just find some glass, doesn't have to be anything fancy, can even be drinking glass. Put some lemons in it, girl. That will change everything.
Okay.
And a lemon scrub for your shower bath time.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah. I'll lemon the fuck out of this place.
Okay, I wasn't trying to scare you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, it was kind of like a sexy scary, if that makes sense. So, it's like, ooh. So, thank you for getting my heart rate up.
And we're gonna drink all the coffee, sister. Okay. Okay, we're just gonna keep drinking coffee.
All the coffee. I mean,
all the coffee.
There's not really much, and I think this is all coffee drinkers probably feel this way. There's not really a whole lot you can say to make me stop drinking coffee. Like, say what you will about it, my friends. I'm gonna be drinking it.
Well, here's my thing. The indigenous people have had it for centuries. They're fine, right? What does that say? Okay. Time to see the fun cards. Thank you. I love you.
Love you, Arlene. All right. Death, rebirth, transformation. It was sexy. I know. Arlene has that voice. Just read me the things. Okay. Death, rebirth, and transformation. I'm picking all 3 today as well. That feels like a trio today. All right, here we go. I know you've missed me. All right. So, death, rebirth, and transformation. This is your death card. Now, of course, we couldn't do Coffee and Magic anymore without some sort of a deer. So here's the lady deer. It's the doe. Okay, there she is. Then you've got focus, and you've got disruption. Okay, so let's talk about these two first, focus and disruption. It feels like there's a little bit of a frustration, and this is not everybody. So if you instinctually picked death first, this probably hits more for you, this part of it. Or if you feel leaning more towards death today, it feels like your plans are being kind of fucked with. Like it's almost like you felt like you kind of had things going in a direction, and like you kind of had a plan. You're like, okay, finally, I think I know what I'm doing. And then like all of a sudden it was like, here, nope. And it feels like there's a kind of kink in the rope or a kink in the pipe type of thing. It's okay. Disruptions are going to happen a lot right now. And the reason that they're happening is because everything's changing very fast. So it's not necessarily that what you were focused on is now wrong. It's just that everything is changing a lot. So it's not going to really help you to focus overly much on external marker points as much as staying in alignment with yourself and allowing flow and change, because it's still moving too much. The one constant you will have is you. You are going to be the constant. So allow yourself to be the constant. And in that space, trust a change of plans. Trust a delay. Trust a new insight. Because disruptions are perception. If you perceive something to be disruptive, that's how it's going to be. But the same energy can also be paradigm shifting. Could also be a close save, right? Things like that. So you can choose to see the world as being very magical, or you can choose to see the world as something you need to disprove or prove. It doesn't matter, but it is how you're going to experience it. There are people, and like I grew up with a lot of these people, where if you have a very like fantastical imagination and mindset, they're going to say, well, that's not realistic. It's not scientifically proven. There's no such thing as energy doing this or that or whatever. Those people who are like, unless I can quantify it scientifically, it doesn't actually exist in reality. Therefore, you're ridiculous. Here's the thing. You can spend all of your time trying to do that. You can say, that's not really a sign because there's a migratory pattern in that type of bird that would have them fly past your house at this certain time. So it's not magic. It's not a sign. It's just their migratory pattern. That is available to you to completely disrupt all magic in your life and call it not magic. It's up to you. That is always going to be your choice. But if you choose to lean into your magic and live life that way, you're not going to be hurting anybody, and you're going to have a lot more fun. So it's just a choice to make now, because those are all available to you. Where are you going to focus? On disproving versus proving, or enjoying what it feels like? Enjoying a little bit of levity, a little bit of, ooh, maybe there is a sign coming to me from above. Maybe I am divinely connected. Maybe this is really a synchronicity. Like, allow it. Because what happens when you do is more things like that continue to happen, right? And when you don't, more annoying things happen. So it's your choice. And the deer doesn't really have a message because it is the message itself. It's just to like smack you in the face and be like, here's another deer, you know? Because I feel like a lot of you are seeing deer a lot. And so that's just for you to be like, there's another one. Okay. So that was your death. The next one is rebirth. Listen, I was so stressed. I've been very sick and I lost my smell. And I always lose my smell anytime I get any cold, but every time I'm like, this is it, because I'm so reliant upon my smells that I feel like I can't see if I can't smell anything. So I can't smell anything, and I was so stressed about it, and I was like, I even took a shower, and I felt like, do I smell good? Like, I was just being crazy, you know? And then I was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, it came back like this, and I could smell my shirt, and I could smell like the air, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be okay. Like, I'm gonna live. And so I was very excited about that. I don't know why I wanted to tell you that just now. I must have smelled something. All right, rebirth. Yeah, so many deer. Oh no, look who it is. It's another deer. The boy version. Can you make it up? What's happening? There's another deer. Boop. Okay. And then we've got fear. Ooh. And then we have the butterfly. Oh boy. What is that message? All right. So for my transformation people, which is also pretty much everybody, I think, almost picked all of them. Working through the program of fear is going to be, it's a marathon, not a race. And there needs to be a lot of leeway given to you, because it's hard when you're breaking free of the program of fear to then know what things are scary versus what things are like your chronic program of fear. Do you know what I mean? Because some shit is scary and you should be afraid, you know? And then other things are like, oof, I can't seem to get out of this cycle. So this message for you today is about slowing down and having a lot of grace with your fear, okay? How do you know if your fear is program fear or, fear of something like that needs to be addressed? When something scares you or feels, like, ooh, there's danger, or it's inciting that fear response, it shouldn't last days. It's a feeling that's incited by something. And it's usually like, whoop, I'm scared of this, but then we settle down and we figure it out. There's a different type of scared that stays as a baseline, and it's all the time. And it's so quiet sometimes that you just, or not so quiet, but it becomes kind of like white noise of your life, and you're used to it. You're used to that like low humming in the background that's like, everything is out to get you. This is scary. Don't do it. And that's the program that we are looking at, that we're kind of poking and nudging and asking questions to. And you don't want to, like, you can't throw a bomb on it. You can't cut it out. It's not one of those things. You have to be gentle. So with the fear program, ask it questions. Ask why and be curious. Pull yourself out as though you're conducting an interview. Why am I so scared of this? Whose voice is it that I hear when I'm feeling this fear? Like, who said it? Where's the inception point? A lot of times you'll find that the deepest programs of fear have originated with religion, with your parents, or with an authority figure from way back in the day that has an actual like you might even remember the moment. You're like, ooh, I think I'm scared and this should be something that I keep with me. Or you don't remember it because it's just kind of pounded in there and it's just always in the background, especially if you grew up in a family where everything was fear-based, which, I mean, everything is fear-based. So it's easy because it's fear that's supposed to keep us well-behaved, right? Like fear of being punished, fear of missing out on something, fear of whatever. That's how we, historically train up our children, right? Fear of consequences. Do what I say or else this is going to happen to you and it's going to be negative. All of those programs are so deep and so insidious that we don't even really realize that we're doing them. Like, I don't know if you have kids, like I find myself sometimes just like saying stuff to them out of nowhere, and I'm like, whoa, like, whoops, sorry, like, didn't mean to hand you that small pebble of trauma. I was just, not even thinking. But fear is so deeply embedded, and so it's gonna need patience. At the same time, we're all doing this, and so as you do it, there's going to be these moments of release within that program disintegrating, and within that release, you're going to have these moments of clarity, beauty, and levity. They may not last incredibly long, or they may sort of start to become your baseline. I don't know. But this, the rebirth card pulls are inviting you to seek the reward on the other side of gently starting to detangle that fear program. In addition, your stag has the same message as always, that this is who you are. Always. It's your cellular makeup. It's your energy. It's your soul. You can't be taken, this can't be taken from you, no matter what is going on in your life at this time. If you're super high or super low, who you are cannot be taken away from you. You can forget, you can be manipulated, but it cannot be taken away from you. You can always find this again. That is your rebirth message. And then what's the last one? Transformation. I see you. We'll have a colleague card after this, apparently. All right. Transformation. Goblin. Queen. Horse. This one's all about the women. So, this is about healing your relationships with other women. And this is a tricky one. It is not talking about healing your relationship with your mother, actually. But that's very clear. It's not really about that. Mother/mother figure. This is different because it's more about healing what our mothers gave us. It's not about the actual relationship with that particular person, but it's healing what was given to us by our lineage of female relatives. We've been conditioned and trained and groomed to not trust other women, to see women as competition, to see them as, basically see other women as something we have to really be wary of and be careful of trusting. You might have a few close women friends, of course, but this goes deeper than that. Women, this right here is what's keeping or has kept patriarchy alive all this time. Because if we're so busy competing against each other and knocking each other down, it's one of the myriad of ways that we're too busy to end this system. And it's so well done. It's so well done, but we're seeing it now. And other women are not your problem. This system is your problem, and the men that is created are a problem as well. And as long as we continue to have that distrust of women, there's something in us that will continue to stay unhealed. We need that connection. We're meant to have it. And so this is asking you, in your life, what can you do to connect with women? And even when I say that, are you a little triggered? Have you in the past attempted to connect with women, and did you have a terrible experience? Were you part of a friend group where you thought that you were understood and loved and supported and found out that like you weren't? Like, those things really happen. And the thing that's different now is not necessarily that that won't happen. How you understand it is different now. And your standards for friendship are different now. Well, this is a tricky one, Marion, with the women and feminine energy, because we're living in a time of in between two regime changes. Okay, so over here where we're coming from, we only accept two genders, male and female. We have women and we have men. I'm just telling you like what the rules were over here. So you have that there. When we're working on deconstructing that, it's really difficult to take new understanding and put it here because it doesn't fit. But at the same time, simultaneously to this, we're also here in a place where gender is a construct and we're fucking aware of it. And we understand that masculine and feminine are probably misnamed entirely and shouldn't even be called that. Like, it's more human than it is gender. It's not so easily defined, but we still have this here. So it's tricky, and I think, like, for example, like little things, and this goes, you know, a little away from this card pull, but I think about these things too. When you think about, you raise your kids to be respectful of grown-ups, right? And like, my kids grew up saying, you know, yes ma'am, no sir, because my ex is from the South, and that's how they do things, and I had no issue with it. But now it's ma'am or sir. That's not inclusive to everybody's identities. And in fact, it's not only not inclusive, it's particularly like, what do you call that? The opposite of inclusive? It's exclusive? Exclusive? You know what I mean. To anybody who doesn't identify as a cishet man or cishet female, right? So those are complications that the language needs to catch up with. Like, it's not, this doesn't need to change. Our archaic language needs to change and expand and open up to be able to encapsulate our current human experience. We're in between, it's real messy. And the best that you can do with any of those things now is to be really clear on what's happening here and kind of deconstruct that, while at the same time holding space for what's happening over here. That being said, it is your relationships with women. It is that. And it is your relationship with feminine energy. But this particular card pull, if we are, you know, getting right into like details with it, because we have horse, It's about learning how to trust women again and ask for help from each other. Okay? It's the rebuilding of the village, so to speak. And if there are some of you who are in a space where you have or are starting to cultivate like different types of friendships that feel different than before, that's because they're conscious friendships, right? So any relationships you make now are going to be much more conscious than any other relationships in your life. You have boundaries now. And remember, boundaries are not restrictions that you put on other people. Boundaries are how you react to what other people do, right? So someone disrespects you, what's your reaction to that? My boundaries say I don't tolerate that, so I'm going to remove myself from the situation. You can't control other people. You needn't. But you absolutely can remove yourself. You absolutely can defend yourself, and you absolutely can say, like, I don't tolerate that. I actually saw a really great phrase to be used when someone tries to say something to you that's like really kind of fucked up, but you feel that nice program coming into you where you're like, I'm not going to call you out on your absolute misogyny and bigotry at this moment because we're in line at the bank and I feel very awkward, like that kind of thing. Or, like you're my kid's principal or whatever it is. And the phrase or the sentence, whatever you want to call it, was, ooh, I'm not the right person for you to share that with. And I feel like we need more things like that, more things like, don't feel comfortable being like that. Like, you need to know I'm not a safe space for you to be an asshole. Like, you need to know that. Like, I'm not an ally for you, even though you think that I am, like that kind of thing. I can't remember the creator who made that phrase. I did not coin that phrase. I just want to be clear about that. But I thought it was really, really potent, and like, we need more. I feel like we need more because we weren't taught them, whoever taught you how to like put people in line clearly. Like, I was never taught that skill. I was more taught to just be nice and not make a big fuss about stuff, So there's that. Anyway, back to this one. So female friendships, asking for help and allowing yourself to, there is a fear of vulnerability, right? Because we don't want to be hurt. But I think we've misunderstood the pathway to being hurt. It's not being vulnerable that allows you to be hurt. It's being around assholes that hurts, right? And it's not feeling able to set boundaries and restrictions for people. It's not feeling that you can defend yourself. It's not feeling, it's feeling like you're almost like at the mercy of everybody else's poor behavior all the time. That makes you feel like scared of being hurt, because it's not being open with your feelings. It's not being open with your truth. It's not being affectionate and kind and loving. That doesn't make you a target to be hurt. What makes you a target to be hurt is not having any boundaries and allowing people to do whatever they want to do. But you can remain soft and in flow and loving and enjoy that. And it's everybody else's loss if they can't come correct and enjoy that with you. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. Yes, the grandmother in Downton Abbey is very good at those kind of phrases. Because she's old too, right? Like, I feel like people as they get older, they just lose the fucks about that. And it's so refreshing, So I look forward to losing more fucks. I've lost a lot this week, honestly. I'm just super low on them. I feel like cleansed of the fucks. Like, holy shit. Okay, let me do this collie card pull, and then I'm gonna go back to bed. Yes, I'm going to check for lemons. If I don't have them, I'll get them later. Also, if you're looking for some trash reality TV to get into, that's also like fascinating, Love is Blind. Thank me later, okay? Thank me later. It is on Netflix. It is presented to you by Nick and Vanessa Lachey, who are the biggest emotional terrorists on the face of the planet. And I am having the best of times with it, honestly, because it's such a good study. It's a good study on the people and like what the fuck is going on around here. It's amazing. So Love is Blind. Again, thank me later. All 3 seasons are amazing. Amazing. Just so good. When I was the biggest hater of like reality television, like especially those kinds, like just such a hater. And now look at me. But if you watch it, let me know. We can just chat about it. So good. Okay. It's a calling card. Before I pull this, I want to tell you something. This is what I've been wanting to tell you. I had this dream, okay? I've been having dreams. I did have several days of a fever, so there is that. But I had this dream where I was teaching like a little bit of an astrology class. Some of you guys were there, actually. There was a couple of you. And we were talking about Venus signs. And we were sitting like outside and like in camping chairs, whatever. And as I'm sitting there talking to you guys, this bird flies over to me. And I put my hand out like this. And it lands on my finger. And we're all like, wow. But when it lands on my finger, I noticed it only has 1 wing. And I was like, oh no. And it was like, what are they called? Finches? Like just a house finch, like the kind with the reddish head, but just like a house finch, only 1 wing. So I'm sitting there and I'm continuing class, and I'm holding the bird, and the bird wasn't scared of me and didn't want to go anywhere. And so it would like lay in my hand and like roll over like a cat to get belly scratches. And we were just like, isn't this weird? And I was like, it's so weird. So we're like rubbing the bird's belly, and somehow I understood that now the bird was going to turn into a cat. So, okay, so that happened, right? The next morning I wake up, and this was a day I really was not feeling good. So I was like sitting, I think it was sunny, so I was sitting, it was like a nice day. So I was sitting over here on my couch, and I opened the schoolhouse door to get some airflow in. And it's just a door, but it's like under a porch. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's a brick house. So I had it open, and I'm sitting there just kind of spacing out and just, trying not to die. And I hear this sound, and I'm like, what is that? It was just like such a weird sound. And I look up, and there's a fucking finch in my house flying above me. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I remembered my dream, because apparently I needed to remember that one. And so then I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to catch this bird somehow. This is going to be terrible. But the bird just kind of goes from one window to the other, and then just swooped down and flew back out the door. And I was like, okay. And stuff like that has been happening non-stop. Like, just like, hey, do you remember your dream, Sarah? Here's a bird for you. Like, it was just wild. It's been crazy times. My goodness. Okay. I know. And not last night, but the night before, I had a dream where I knew I was lucid dreaming, because I said to myself, hey, Sarah, remember this one for when you wake up, because you're going to need this information. And I did remember it, which is like, wow, new achievement. But I was in the woods, and I saw clusters of ghost pipe, also called Indian pipe. Do you guys know what that is? And it usually, like, if you find some in the woods, it's not super prevalent. And usually you'll find like one small cluster. But in my dream, I saw many very like healthy clusters, and I saw them in that way that they were like sparkly and they were luminescent, and they were calling to me. They're like, you can come harvest us, like, see us, come harvest us. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, remember this when you wake up. So I woke up and I did some research on ghost pipe, and it is like the most fucking Scorpio herb, or whatever you want to call it, fungus, herb, flower, whatever you want to call it. It is the most Scorpio thing you can ever, like, you should Google it. It's amazing. But it's basically the death and rebirth tincture, okay? So, and that's literally what I've been doing all week. And so I was like, oh, is this to like support me? Holy shit, right? So then of course I'm like, where do I find this? Because I don't want some like, janky ghost pipe stuff from, janky places. But anyway, I found it. It's on its way. But I just thought that was so fucking funny, because it was like, oh, Missy says, I'm gonna have to email you a picture. I was in my fairy garden. I had a house finch land on me, hang out with me, and what is going on? Right? Oh my God. All right, so I pulled from this collie deck, and this collie is looking very uncollie-y. She's not even red or blue. That's what? She's not even blue. I'm putting it here for you YouTube people for later. I mean, she looks good, don't get me wrong, but what's happening here? Okay, let's find out. It's Baglamukti. The 8th of the Mahavidya wisdom goddesses is Baglamukti. She is a beautiful avatar of Kali, known for her golden light. She is also called Pitambara Devi, or the goddess dressed in yellow. Her blessing is the bestowal of siddhis, or yogic powers, in particular, her power of Stambara, or the power to paralyze or immobilize. She is known for pulling the tongues out of demons, which seems gruesomely at odds with her beautiful appearance, but along with Stambara has a deep spiritual significance. The tongue is the symbol of speech. Speech is sound expressed with intention. Sound is a creative power. Intention gives it direction. To pull out the tongue of a demon is to end its capacity to create trouble. This is so great. It's making me feel good. Baglamukti halts negativity in its tracks, preventing it from doing any harm, nullifying its power to cause havoc. It is an act of protection. If you or another have said words you regret, or you've heard some nasty gossip or jealousy or hatefulness stem from someone's lips akin to a curse, trust that your spiritual refuge in Baglamukti will nullify its effect. Ripping out the tongue acknowledges the power of negativity and the need to have zero tolerance for it. There is no pretending the negativity doesn't exist. It means recognizing its sources within or around us and cutting them off at the root, thereby removing their capacity to influence us. Some may argue that this is spiritual bypassing, a term used for spiritual approaches that avoid life's challenges rather than to face them and mature. That term may be misapplied to mean that we need to engage with toxic energies for our spiritual growth. I'm going to read that again because I think this is actually very important. because I have been thinking about this a lot lately. It means recognizing its sources within or around us and cutting them off at the root, thereby removing their capacity to influence us. Some may argue that this is spiritual bypassing, a term used for spiritual approaches that avoid life's challenges rather than to face them and mature. That term may be misapplied to mean that we need to engage with toxic energies for our spiritual growth. This is a little like saying you need to keep beating your head against a brick wall to learn how to deal with the pain. There comes the point when you will realize you no longer need to continue. Understanding the nature of the behavior and of the pain it causes is enough. This is not weakness, but wisdom. Bhagavad presence in a reading indicates that you are learning how to self-protect, to have enough self-worth to realize you don't need to accept negative, undermining, and toxic energies in your life. Is this summing up what I've been rattling on about for the past 45 minutes, incoherently? Okay, just checking. To have enough self-worth to realize you don't need to accept negative, undermining, and toxic energies in your life. Your happiness and spiritual growth will increase as you clear them out. To do this, you may need to cut something off entirely. Sometimes that is the only effective way. It takes spiritual strength to give yourself unconditional support so you can thrive, especially, for example, if childhood conditioning was laden with a duty to sacrifice your well-being to another's emotional suffering. Arresting negativity is not only about dealing with projections from others. It is often more challenging and intricate work to conquer the ways we are cruel to ourselves. Bhagavad helps us accurately identify and therefore deal effectively with external and internal sources of sabotage or negativity. Harshness toward ourselves or others is very different from a healthy and humorous recognition of our weaknesses, which helps us become less reactive and creates more happiness. Bhagavad is about tackling unhelpful, toxic shame, that which leaves us feeling unworthy, that something is innately wrong with us, that we do not deserve love or respect. It does not keep us humble. It keeps us spiritually incapacitated. We need a healthy sense of self-worth to be committed to growth and learning. We need to believe we are worthy of our unique destiny. When Bhagavad arises in a reading, a blessing of some sort needs to manifest. It may be a new type of relationship you have never experienced before, or a new level of professional recognition or respect, or a realization of your innate beauty and value. This gift is essential to your continued spiritual progress, which benefits you and all beings. To be able to receive it, some form of toxic negativity needs to be conquered, and so it shall be. Do not be afraid to affirm your right to thrive. So, okay then. So, I will include this in an email that I will send out today. It's Bhagavad I feel like that was helpful. So, anyhow, happy Halloween if you're doing the Halloweeny things. I will see you on Friday, and I think I'm going to feel a lot better then. As you can imagine, after this week, I'm probably going to be making some shifts to a few things, as is my way. So don't worry about it. It's not really that big of a deal, but I have looked at all of your feedback forms, which is very helpful for me. I kind of wish I had done that before I did everything else, but it's fine. Likely, Normalized Magic Circle is going to take a little break and reconvene as workshop because there's a reason for it. I wanted it to be like a drop-in thing, but I also realized that it's not as powerful when we don't have the collective group. I think when we've had workshops in the past, either 6 or 8 week workshops, it creates such family and such connection between everybody, and I want that again. So I'll be putting that out soon. But if you purchased a Normalized Magic package, that code is also good for any of the channeling sessions. So you can use them for channeling. I just wanted you to know that. But I will work all of this out when my head is more clear. But I don't like to stop thinking ever because it's my superpower. I love you guys. I'm so glad I got a chance to spend some time with you this morning. Have an amazing rest of your day. I will get this out to you at some point today, and I'll see you Friday. Mwah.